We'll bring you that story. All those stories coming up this morning. And joining me to talk about it, Fox Business Network's Dagen McDowell, Recon Capital Chief Investment Officer Kevin Kelly, and National Review reporter and Fox News contributor Kat Timpf. Good morning.
Good morning. What a tease. I'm excited. I love pranks.
What?
I can't wait to hear about it.
You know what I love more than pranks? Country music.
I always thought you were going to say tequila.
I'm teasing one of your guests.
We have a big guest coming up in the country music world. All right, that's all we'll say right now.
No, I think you're going to tease me right now.
Coming up, W.S. Ross and Company founder and chairman and Trump campaign economic advisor Wilbur Ross is with us. The CEO of Ford Motor, Mark Fields, will join us. And there is country music star Vince Gill is with us this morning. You'll want to hear from him as well. Big show ahead.
The Ryman is coming to New York City.
There you go.
There you go.
A lot to say on that. 12 days away from Election Day. Hillary Clinton is stumping in North Carolina this morning. Those swing states still in focus, while Donald Trump is reassuring voters in Ohio about his projected presidential victory.
We're going to win North Carolina, I'll tell you. We're going to win Florida. Actually, we're going to win Florida, too. We're going to win Ohio, and we're going to win Iowa. Yeah, we're winning a lot of states.
Now, Donald Trump says he can still win, and he's right. That's why it's so important everyone gets out and votes.
According to the latest Fox News polls, Clinton is leading Trump by 3 points in a four-way race. Now, in a head-to-head matchup, Clinton takes the lead by 5 percentage points, as you see there. Joining us right now, national spokesperson for the Libra Initiative, Rachel Campos-Duffy, with us, and Richard Fowler, radio talk show host and Fox News contributor. Good to see you both. Thanks so much for joining us. Rachel, let me kick it off with you. These polls obviously tightening. Clinton leading within a margin of error now in the four-way race. What's your reaction to this? What's your take on the race so far?
Well, listen, I mean, he's also winning. Donald Trump is winning with independents. He's sort of taken the lead with them over the last couple of weeks as well, which I think is very, very interesting. I also think it's interesting how they're spending their last 2 weeks. By the way, I saw that footage you had of Hillary. She said she's going to keep her her foot on the gas pedal. She looks to me like she's running out of steam, out of gas. She looks tired. And if you look at the way they're spending the next 2 weeks, you really see the difference in the work ethic between a private sector entrepreneur and a very pampered bureaucrat. She's doing maybe 1 rally a day. He's doing 3, sometimes 4 a day, and that's a really smart strategy for him because he cannot match her in money. She's definitely got more money, a much bigger war chest, and he's able to go over the heads of the media by doing these rallies because they cover these rallies. That's one thing that he does have in his favor.
Somebody said yesterday on the show, Rachel, that that's the whole strategy. Sit back. Let Donald Trump say whatever he's going to say to perhaps take him down. She doesn't have to do anything. Richard Fowler, how do you see it?
Well, I think Hillary Clinton's doing quite a bit. She had 2 events yesterday in the battleground state of Florida. She'll have 2 more today, one with Michelle Obama in North Carolina. What the Clinton campaign is doing is this. They're going to push all their supporters to go and vote early. So these aren't persuasion events. These are get out the vote events, right? And these events are usually strategically placed near an early voting location. What we saw from some recent data that came out a couple of days ago is that it was almost more than 50% of those who have already voted, or close to 50% of those who have already voted, are Democrats who voted early, and the Republican margins are a lot lower than that. So Hillary Clinton's trying to get her voters out, get them out early. So on Election Day, they're working on getting out the last-minute stragglers. Donald Trump, he still has some persuading to do. As you saw that poll, the Fox News poll that indicates that, you know, he's doing well amongst independents. But you've got to get those independents to turn out for you, which means he's going to have to do some persuasion. And he's really going to have to crystallize this message in the next coming days. He is talking about the issues and not talking about scandal or other things, which is great for the Donald. But there's still some more work he's going to have to do. And these polls show that this race is going to be, seems as though Hillary's in the lead, but it's going to be close. There's no question about it.
Richard, it's Kevin. I'm just curious, why do you think that she's not wiping the floor with him? I mean, her ground game is substantial. I mean, she has over 700 people on staff, but she can't take the election away from him, and he's consistently staying tight in the polls. He keeps coming back. Is this because she just refuses to answer to any of the questions or the Podesta emails or any of the scandals that come up? She hasn't had a press conference. Do you think that's not resonating with voters, and that's why he's still neck and neck with her?
I think that's a great question. Here's the thing. I think what the Hillary campaign will tell you, if you ask them, they would say that they always said this is going to be a close race. Me, on the other hand, I think that I think what we see here happening is that because the looming, her untrustworthiness, which is the numbers that we saw in the Fox News poll and other polls, are sort of seeping into the water. But her untrustworthiness numbers are nothing paled in comparison to Donald Trump's untrustworthy, not unfit to lead, just an absolute mess when it comes to running a campaign, which is why I think she's going to be ahead. But her turnout machine is going to be key to winning this election. A lot of those won't show up in polls, which is why you see somebody like Michelle Obama going out for her big time. She has the highest approval rating amongst any of the Clinton surrogates. I think she's in the 60s or the 70% when it comes to her approval rating amongst the American people. She'll be out for the next 12 days. There's no question about it. The president's approval rating just hit 57 yesterday, and he'll be out in the next couple of days as well.
And the First Lady is actually a better speaker than her husband in terms of her passion and getting the message out. We saw that at the Democratic National Convention. Here's what's hurting Hillary Clinton. Front page of 3 major national newspapers. Clinton emails tied charity to fees for speeches, talking about Bill, about the foundation. They were pushing donors to send business to Bill and speaking fees. Front page of the New York Post. Clinton cash machine foundation firm steered millions to Bubba Inc. And lo and behold, the New York Times. Donations to foundation vexed Clinton's top aides. Above the fold, your lead story today in the New York Times. That's hurting her because people went into this election not trusting her to begin with, and they look at her and they think corruption, what's going to happen if she's elected president? That's what's weighing on those polls.
People from people from the campaign to say that they always thought it was going to be close. They were saying, oh, please let it be Donald Trump. So easy. Donald Trump, who is this guy? Reality TV show host. And now it is really close. That's got to be a little demoralizing. Yeah. A little bit.
Rachel?
It is, but I would say, you know, he's right in a few points. First of all, yes, they're bringing out the big guns with Michelle Obama. That shows that they're a little bit worried, but they do have a much better ground game. And I would say, for example, I'm here in Wisconsin. You know, Donald Trump still has not brought home the Republicans he needs in southeast Wisconsin. So he is still needing to, as he said, persuade, and that's a problem for him. But these emails or these WikiLeaks things that are getting released are a problem, and so is Obamacare. I mean, the timing for this is horrible for the Clintons. And I'll tell you what, suburban moms who she's looking at bringing her over the finish line, they are paying attention to this, because I tell you what, there's a lot of mama bears out there, mothers across the country, working class, suburban, who are going, how am I going to pay for these insurance and deductibles that are going up by double digits? This is a big problem for them. Make no mistake.
What about that, Richard? Dagen's point, these mounting conflicts of interest stories against the Clinton campaign, they're piling up. Just in the last few months, we have learned of more potential conflicts of interest tied to the presidential nominee from WikiLeaks, including the release of a 2011 memo detailing the questionable fundraising relationship between the Clinton Foundation and the global strategy company Teneo. Then there's the emails from 2014 about the $12 million donation from the King of Morocco in exchange for a Clinton appearance. Dagen points out, it's on the cover of all the papers today, Richard.
One, I think a lot of folks aren't reading the newspapers anymore. I think the newspaper, the folks at the business side newspapers can tell you that. But number two, Marie, and more importantly, what has happened is all these email stories have conflated into one big email story, right? Whether it be her private server, whether it be these WikiLeaks, the American people really see them as one larger email scruffle. And because they're one larger email scruffle, and I think some people in the media spend too much time focusing on it, it's sort of become a wash. And they're like, well, okay, so she has emails, he has his bus video. Now let's look at the policies of these two candidates.
And
when you look
at
the policy,
it's not about emails.
I don't think so at all.
It's not about emails. It's about corruption.
Yeah.
No. Let me push back on that just a little bit and say this. I think when you talk to the voters, right? I just left Detroit. I'll be going back to Detroit. And you talk to the voters, Detroit's the state where Donald Trump has to flip. They says, well, she has emails. He has an issue with women. I'm looking at the issues, and on the issues, she seems to be better and more versed on the issues than he is. And that's because Donald Trump hasn't spent any time focused on the issues. He spends every campaign speech, the first 20 minutes of it, either bashing women or talking about about the next scandal or talking about his hotel. Neither of them are talking about policy issues.
I have small business owners wanting to talk to me at every turn, every store I go in, even in the most liberal city in the country, New York City, where business owners will lean across the counter and look into my eyes and say, I can't handle another 8 years of this.
Me too.
I am being put out of business.
Yeah,
it's true. And
small
Richard,
business is desperate for Trump economics.
I would say also, I would say that there's a lot of minorities that I run into that are both African American and Hispanic who are afraid to, put out a sign or say they're voting. So I am, if this is a tight race, that's also going to be a very interesting component. Is there and not just minority, but white voters as well, who are afraid of putting out that sign, afraid of maybe telling a pollster? That will be really interesting on election day as well.
Word?
Yeah, Richard, people that do read newspapers actually vote, and this is coming across, just so you know, Richard.
All right, we'll leave it there.
I hear that. The numbers say that it's in our side more so than y'all's. It's just the facts.
Great insights from everybody. Rachel Campos-Duffy, Richard Fowler, good to see you both. Thank you so much. We'll keep following that. Coming up, firefighters in New York City right now battling a 6-alarm blaze this morning.